friends, this video on motion in a plane part 14 is brought to you by examfear.com. No more fear from exam. Please make sure that you have watched all the videos from part 1 to 13 before going ahead with part 14. Now let us look at instantaneous velocity. So what is instantaneous velocity? It is basically the velocity at one instant of time. Like how we talked of average velocity, it was the value of velocity between any two instants of time. But when we talk of instantaneous velocity, it is the value of velocity at a particular instant of time. So as I said, instantaneous velocity is nothing but the velocity at a particular instant of time. So we can say it in this way, that instantaneous velocity is nothing but average velocity with t tending to 0. That means with delta t tending to 0. Now we saw that average velocity, what was average velocity? It was delta r by delta t. That means the total displacement by total time taken. So the same value with a limit delta t tends to 0. What would this mean? This means that the time interval is very small. So when I talk of average velocity, I talk of the velocity over a certain period of time interval. But when I talk of instantaneous velocity, I talk of a single instant. That means a very small instant of time. So when I talk of average velocity, if I say I talk of a time interval between t1 to t2. But when I talk of instantaneous velocity at t1, I talk of a very small instant of t1, right? So that means this delta t becomes almost 0. The change in time interval becomes almost 0 because you are talking of a single time instant. Are you getting my point? Right? So we can see that instantaneous velocity is equal to limit delta t tends to 0 delta r by delta t, or using the concept of limits in mathematics, we can write it as dr by dt. So instantaneous velocity is given by the derivative of the position vector with time. So dr by dt. So this is about how we define instantaneous velocity. Now when it comes to the direction of instantaneous velocity, it is tangential to the path at a particular point and in the direction of motion. So since we are talking of instantaneous velocity again, if I say you what would be the instantaneous velocity at time t1. So at time t1, the direction of instantaneous velocity would be tangential to that particular point. So it would be tangential to that particular point and in the direction of the motion. So now I will show you three graphs. You can see three graphs representing the motion of the particle in two dimensions. So in these three graphs, what I will try to show you is that initially we will consider the scenario of average velocity. We will see the average velocity between 2 points P1 and P2. Then gradually we will keep reducing the time interval. Reducing the time interval means the body will travel less. So time interval decreasing would means that the distance between P1 and P2 will also keep decreasing. So we will show you that gradually the time interval decreases and finally we arrive at instantaneous velocity. So let us look at the first graph. Let us suppose we consider any two instants P1 and P2 like before how we considered. So this P1 and P2 are represented by their position vectors, that is R1 and R2. Right? Now what would be the displacement in this case? The displacement in this case would be given by this vector, that is delta r. This is the displacement. Now if this is the displacement, what would be the direction of average velocity? As I told you, average velocity would have the same direction as displacement. That means the average velocity would be in this direction. Now again, as I told you, in this case, this is our direction of average velocity. Now we reduce the time interval. So in the next case, let us suppose the time interval is reduced. So if the time interval is reduced, that means the body will travel less. So the body could travel only from P1 to P2. It could not travel more than that. So in this case again, this is R1, this is R2. So what would be the displacement? The displacement would be the line joining these 2 points, right? So let us suppose this line is r. This is delta r. So what would be the average velocity here? Again, the average velocity would be in this direction. But if you see, it is reduced, right? Now in the third scenario, we say that the time is reduced to 0. In this case, delta t is reduced to 0. That means the particle could not move after P1 because there is no time. That is, the time interval is already 0. That means the particle started from here and the position of the particle is denoted only at this point. We are not showing any other point, right? So in this case, what is your delta R? This is your R1, right? So there is no delta R in this case. So the position of the particle is denoted by R1. So now if I talk of instantaneous velocity at P1, so instantaneous velocity would be dr1 by dt. And what would be the direction? As I told you, it would be tangential to the path. Tangential to the path at this particular point. Tangential means, how do you draw a tangent to this? I'm sorry, it is not at all straight, but please understand what I'm trying to say. Let us suppose if this is P1, so you draw a tangent. So this is the tangent. So this would be the direction of the instantaneous velocity. So when we talk of instantaneous velocity, its direction is a tangent to that particular point of time. Right? At a particular point of time, its position is P1. So at this point, you draw a tangent and that tangent represents the direction of instantaneous velocity. So you saw how the average velocity, how can average velocity get converted into instantaneous velocity when the time interval is reduced to 0. So I hope the concept of average and instantaneous velocity is clear. Okay. So now in our next slide, we will see how do we denote instantaneous velocity in component form. That means how do we denote instantaneous velocity in terms of its components along x and y axis. How do we express instantaneous velocity in component form? Just now in the previous slide, we saw that instantaneous velocity is denoted by dr by dt, where r denotes the position of the particle. So this was basically equal to limit delta t tends to 0, delta r by delta t, right? Now we already know what is delta r. What is it? Just try to remember from the previous slides. It is delta x I cap plus delta y j cap divided by delta t. Now we can break it and write it as limit delta t tends to 0, delta x by delta t I cap plus limit delta t tends to 0, delta y by delta t j cap. Now what is this? Limit delta t tends to 0, delta x by delta t I cap. This basically shows the change in position along x-axis. This also shows the definition of instantaneous velocity but along x-axis. So we can write it as, now if you look at it carefully, we can write this limit delta t tends to 0, delta x by delta t. What is this value? This is nothing but dx by dt I cap. Similarly, in this case, this value is nothing but dy by dt. So these are from our basic knowledge on mathematics. In mathematics, you must have studied the chapters on limits, right? So there you would have seen these. So now what is dx by dt? dr by dt is instantaneous velocity. So dx by dt is instantaneous velocity along x-axis. Similarly, this is instantaneous velocity along y-axis. So we can say that instantaneous velocity can be represented as its components along x and y-axis respectively. So this is the expression for instantaneous velocity. Now if I talk of magnitude of instantaneous velocity, so magnitude of instantaneous velocity would be given by root over Vx squared plus Vy squared. Now if I talk of direction, so the direction would be given by tan theta is equal to Vy by Vx. So these are the things which we have studied in the knowledge when we were discussing vectors. We studied it in the resolution of vectors topic, right? So using that we can say this would be the magnitude and this would be the direction of instantaneous velocity. So I hope now things are gradually becoming clear to you that how do we represent vector quantities, how do we derive velocity from acceleration, how do we relate position vector with displacement and things like that, right? Now that we have completed velocity, we will move ahead and learn about acceleration. So even in acceleration, we will study average acceleration and instantaneous acceleration. So let us start with average acceleration.
Thank you. Please visit examfear.com to watch free educational videos, try free online tests, get the best quality study materials, study from the best tutors and mentors, and much more. Thank you once again.